Check this out. Next slide. Self-talk versus soul talk. Think of it, and this is kind of what I want to talk to you about today, because I think this is heavy. Let me give it to you in an illustration. This week, we had a city commission debate, all right? And if you don't know this, I'm running to be a city commissioner here in Kissimmee, and we had a debate this week with 6 other candidates who are running for city commission, and I was up there debating, blah, 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 blah. So I'll tell you the whole story. You go to hear the whole story? This is really great. You guys will crack up. So we get there. There's these 6 other candidates, right? One of the guys, nice guy, and I mean nice guy. I'm not just saying this for this. Nice guy. We're having lunch next week. Nice guy. His name is Carmelo. He's a really nice guy, really cool. But he's a big guy, okay? Like linebacker big, like 2 linebackers big, okay? He's a big guy. And so we walk up. We're at the city commission. We're at the chamber, and there's all these chairs up there, right? And there are these big fancy chairs, and he pulls my chair out. And I said, thank you, Carmelo. Appreciate that. And I sit down, right? And he goes sit down in his chair. Chair breaks, right? Arm just right off. And I look over, and he goes, don't be scared. And I go, I'm scared you're going to fall out of that chair. And he goes, I know. And he is sweating bullets. I mean, he is sweating bullets. And I'm going, calm down, breathe, just breathe. You're going to be good. You're going to be good. And he's going, I know. These things make me so nervous. And the guy next to him, he's sweating bullets. It's like public speaking is like one of the worst fears ever, right? And they're basically like this whole room of people, and they're putting it on this like television station that nobody watches. You know what I'm saying? And then my corner, our state representative up there, and he's like, hey, and so, so-and-so, you get 1 minute. Tell us about yourself. And you just have to like start talking. You know what I mean? And so they're just like, I mean, it's a nerve-wracking experience, to say the least. And then the media's there, and they get to ask you questions, right? They get to ask you questions. And so the guy from the Osceola Star or whatever, or the Osceola, who reads that? I don't know. So, this guy goes, the panel, what do you think about the consolidation of city services with county services, and what are your opinions on blah, blah, blah? And so it comes to, it's got down the line, it comes to, and so some people are just like, pass. I have no idea. And we're supposed to give like this minute response where we're supposed to sound intelligent. You know what I'm saying? Like we can actually put a sentence together and that we know what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? This is literally what we're doing. And for people who don't do a lot of public speaking, it can be very nerve-wracking. Like it can be like, whoa. Of course, this is like my bread and butter. So I'm like, hey, everybody. But here's the funny thing. I get home after this whole thing. It's like an hour, blah, blah, blah. We do this whole thing. Everybody's sweating bullets. And, we get done. And everybody's very gracious and says, you did a good job, even though you were like, I kind of sound like a goofball. You get done, and I'm home. I had dinner with some friends, and I go home, and I'm sitting there in bed, and I'm trying to go to sleep, and all my brain is doing is thinking of all the things that I didn't say. Like, literally. It's just like, and I'm literally thinking, oh, my gosh, how did I not say that? And then I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? I just stressed this. And then I reacted sometimes in emotion, and I never want to do that kind of publicly. And so they asked me about, like, the sign twirlers on 192, all the people that twirl signs out in front of businesses. They say, what do you think of that sign twirls? And I said, I think that's the most cockamamie. I said that in the thing. That's the craziest cockamamie thing. I think we should ban that. It looks like, what are we, like podunk? I'm saying this whole thing in front of everybody, and everybody's like, I don't know. I'm not sure we like our representatives using the term cockamamie. And I'm thinking to myself, I probably shouldn't have said that. I should have said it this way. It'd have been much more political. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking of all the things that I did wrong. And then it dawns on me in this moment. It dawns on me that before I went to, that I was thinking in my mind. I was having this discussion. I was like, well, if they ask me this, I'm going to say this. And if they ask me this, I'm going to say this. And if so-and-so's there, I want to make sure I say this. And if so-and-so's there, I want to make sure I say that. And all of that self-talk was going on, right? And it dawns on me. I'm laying there, like, in bed, right? And I'm just like, and I can't go to sleep. And it dawns on me, why are you so concerned about this? Like, what is in you that's so concerned? And it like a light bulb that goes off. Are you ready? It's like a light bulb moment where I go, I'm really concerned about what people think. I'm really concerned about what people think of me. Like, all that concern about what I didn't say is really like, did you look like an idiot? Like, what did they think? Did they think you were smart? Did they think you were capable? Did they think you could do it? Because that's what I was really concerned about. And all that self-talk and that can't go to sleep and that frustration, it was at a much deeper level. And like a light bulb goes off, and I go, oh, yeah. And so I'm having these discussions in my mind, and I'm trying to change and say, oh, I'll do better, I'll do this. But really, it's not helping. And I can't stop it. And I can't go to sleep. And all I can continue to do is think about it, right? Well, at that moment, I just did something, because I knew this week we were going to be talking kind of about similar subjects. And I just said to myself, this is just what I did. I just said, oh, my soul, that I would rest in you, O Lord, now. That I wouldn't care about what everybody else thinks, but that I would care about what you think. That discussion about my own pride and my own accomplishments and my own reputation and my own how great am I would stop right now, and I would focus on how great you are, right? Now, I know this sounds really spiritual, and I'm not usually that spiritual. I know it sounds really spiritual, but I did that. Like, I did that. And, like, I don't know when I went to sleep, but it had to be quick because I don't remember anything after that. Like, it was like, well, you know. It was just like the soundtrack stopped and all that stopped. Now, and here, I say that for this. I think some of us are really good at self-talk. I think many of us, including me, need a lesson in soul talk. There's all these places in the Psalms where the psalmist says, oh, my soul. Oh my, just look it up. Just type in, oh, my soul into a concordance. As if they're speaking to their souls. Like, oh, my soul. You know, oh, my soul. A song we sang. Bless the Lord, oh, my soul. That's a weird statement, right? Bless the Lord, oh, my soul. Well, you are your soul. Well, kind of, but you've also been given a soul, right? And there's a responsibility with that. And so I think we're good at self-talk. In fact, some of us have the self-talk going all the time. You've done this, right? You get in the car after you've had like a problem at work or whatever, and you're driving on, you say, I should have said this to her, blah, 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 or I should have said that. You know what I'm saying? And you start thinking of all the things you should have said, and if I get in that opportunity again, I'm going to really stick it to them. You know what I'm saying? And you start self-talking, all this stuff, right? Or you're self-talking all the time about all these big things in your life. Like, you know, all the singles are always self-talking. It's like, oh, man, I'm lonely. I need this. I need to find somebody. What's wrong with me? And blah, blah, blah. They start self-talking themselves, right? And at some point, I think there has to be a transition for the life of the believer to leave those things behind. And begin that, bless the Lord, oh my soul. That we begin to not focus on self-talk, but soul talk. And you realize in that moment, what's behind all that worry, fear, frustration, anger, bitterness, hatred, you know, what's behind all that, like, what do they think of me? What's this stuff about? There's a root to that. And it's eating at your soul. And there needs to be some soul talk for many of us, where we confess those things at a soul level. And that at that soul level, we say, you know, I put my attention back on you. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, right? Look, there's no way for you to understand this without trying this. And so I would say, the next time you find yourself in that pattern, you'll know you will. You'll find yourself in that moment, you're saying, you're talking in your own head, what about this, and what about that? Oh, should I do this, should I do that? Well, at that moment, would you just breathe, and would you remember that you are loved? Would you remember that you have been given a soul? That you remember that you're accountable for that soul and who you are? And that there's a root cause to all that fear and anger and frustration, right? And that all those things are driving you away from truth, from beauty, from love, from righteousness. And would you just rest for a moment and confess out loud? Say it out loud. I said it out loud. I was like, what? Out loud. Like, bless the Lord. Oh, my soul. May I rest in you. May all those worries be taken away. And may I be focused on you, audience of one, and let everybody else think what they want. Right? Right? I know that sounds like, oh, yeah, I'd probably do that. I cannot tell you how important this is for the life of the believer. That you can come and you can sing the right songs and you can read some of the right passages and you can go to the right Bible study and you can be here every week. But if you never do this, if you allow that self-talk to continue and never have any soul talk, if you allow that pattern to continue in your life where you are, you find these moments where it's long moments, they get longer and longer, where you're having these long conversations with yourself about the things you're scared of, or the things that you want, or the things you're dissatisfied about, the things that you can't have, or why, and all this frustration. If you never rest, if you never just get to that soul talk level, I promise you, there will be a sickness in you. You may be doing some of the right things, but you've never put it into practice where you actually say it and pray it, confess it, hold on. Make sense? Okay, next thing. I do not concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me. I love this, right? But I have calmed myself, quieted my ambitions. I am a weaned child with its mother. Like a weaned child, my soul within me. You hear that? Look at those words again. But I have calmed myself. I have quieted my ambitions, what I want, what I think will satisfy my soul. Are you ready? I've quieted all that striving. I've quieted, what do they think of me? Did I sound smart? Did I do enough? Did I say the right things? I quieted all that. And look what it says. I am like a weaned child with his mother. You know what that means? Like a weaned child? You know that, like a child, all they need, right? The doctor tells you right up front. When you have a baby, you know what the doctor tells you? You don't need to feed that baby anything. All that baby needs is mama's milk. That's all it needs, right? But at a certain point, children can't keep drinking mama's milk. You know what I mean? It just gets weird, right? They have to be weaned. But here's the problem with the child. Child that's used to mama's milk and suckling, that becomes a problem. Because you know what? They don't want to give that up. Weaning a child can be tough sometimes. Because what you're doing is you're taking away the one thing that they've grown to love the most, that satisfies them. But once a child is weaned and starts to grow and receive food, there's a transition point there, right? And that's what the author's saying. Like a weaned child. Like one who's been hoping for the one thing that you want, and that's been quieted. All your ambitions have been quieted. All the things that you think you thought you need have been quieted. And now you rest. And there's nothing, like when you have a child that's been weaned and has made that transition and is happy and content and is eating, this is the picture that the writer of the Psalm says for you. That you would quiet your ambitions and all that you want and all that you think you need and all that you've been striving for and all you've been focused on. And like a weaned child, you would trust in your parent. You would trust in your God. You would know that your soul will be fed, and it will be from Him and not from your personal ambitions. Wow. I love that one, right? Yeah, it's powerful. Listen to this. Deliver me from the sword, my precious soul, from the power of the dogs. I love that little line, my precious, my precious. Remember that? Listen to this, next one. Lord, how long will you look on? Rescue my soul from their destructions, my precious soul from the lions. You remember that line? My precious. Remember that from Tolkien? Remember that from Lord of the Rings? From Gollum? You remember Gollum in Lord of the Rings? My precious. Anybody see this? My precious. This is Gollum, right? All right? Remember that? My precious. I can't do it.